Critical Role Campaign 4 is almost here, and there are some major changes coming to Critical Role. After 10 amazing years and 3 awesome D&D campaigns, Critical Role is leaving the world of Exandria, being joined by a number of new players, and maybe, most shocking of all, my boy Brennan Lee Mulligan is taking his place in the Dungeon Master chair for Campaign 4. Hello everyone, I'm Finn, welcome back to finnfilms. As those of you who have watched my videos before probably know, I am a massive D&D nerd and a huge fan and lover of the folks over at Critical Role. I've been watching this group of nerdy-ass voice actor friends since basically day one of the Geek and Sundry Scuffed live broadcast. Man, it's crazy to think that was 10 years ago. In this video, I'm going to be discussing everything that you need to know before you watch Critical Role Campaign 4. All of the major changes that are coming to Critical Role with this brand new campaign. The brand new fantasy world that they're going to be playing in, as well as the new Dungeon Master Brennan Lee Mulligan, and specifically going over his DMing style and how it differs to Matt Mercer's. As well, we're going to be taking a look at all of the cast that are going to be playing in Campaign 4, as well as their characters that they're going to be playing, the names of their characters, as well as the character art, and all of the classes that have been revealed so far. Really, we're just going to be discussing everything that we know so far about Campaign 4 and everything you need to know before you watch Campaign 4 this Thursday on October 2nd. So then, let's get started, shall we? Okay, so as I'm sure many Critical Role fans probably know by now, Campaign 4 is going to come with a host of major changes. A bunch of major changes from the last 10 years, the last 3 campaigns that Critical Role has done so far. Starting off with what I think is probably the biggest change, Matt Mercer stepping down as Dungeon Master, joining the table as a player now, being replaced by my goat, my spirit animal, Brennan Lee Mulligan. Many people probably know Brennan from like his D&D campaigns over at Dropout, like Dimension 20, his comedy Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. Personally though, I think Brennan is at his best when he is doing a super serious D&D campaign, specifically set in a high fantasy setting. Look no farther than any of the Critical Role Exandria Unlimited prequel series that Brennan has dungeon mastered, such as Calamity, Downfall, and Divergence, to really get a taste of what I think Brennan is really capable of, and Brennan at his best. Personally, I will recommend watching EXU Calamity, as I think it is some of Brennan's finest work, as well as one of the best pieces of Critical Role content just that they've ever put out. I will never get tired of those, like, that 10-minute opening scene, as well as watching Brennan play the Lord of Lies as Modius himself.
Now, I'll tell you why I spit on your forgiveness. I'll tell you why I loathe your redemption. To reach a hand down to somebody, they need to be beneath you! And I'm beneath nobody. You wanted to understand me. Then you should have accepted that I was right!
And he pulls the back of your head and rips the skin off of your skull.
Daddy, chill.
Personally, I don't think that there's anyone more capable, anyone I would rather see take Matt Mercer's role as the Dungeon Master for Critical Role than Brennan Lee Mulligan. While Brennan's DMing style is definitely different from Matt, I think Brennan offers his players a lot more freedom and generally just says yes. He has much more kind of a go-with-the-flow type DMing style, at least that's what I gather. The man is an exceptional storyteller, on par, I would say, with Matthew Mercer, especially in a dark, high fantasy kind of setting, and I think that he is going to do an amazing job in Campaign 4, though I imagine that some of the Critical Role audience, it might take a little bit of time getting used to him as the Dungeon Master, as for the last 10 years, a lot of these people have only ever watched Matt Mercer DM. The second biggest change is that we are going to be leaving the fantasy world of Exandria, the world that Matt Mercer has created and the world that we have spent the last 10 years watching. Switching over to a brand new world in Campaign 4, as well we are switching to the 2024 rule set of Dungeons and Dragons. However, fret not, my critter friends, as Matt Mercer has made it very clear that they will not be leaving Exandria forever, as they will be regularly returning to the world of Exandria, playing as previous parties from all 3 of the campaigns in miniseries and one-shots, you know, throughout the years and in time to come. And I imagine maybe for Campaign 5, they will return to Exandria once again, but we'll just have to wait and see. So as I said, Campaign 4 is going to be set in a new fantasy world, no longer in Exandria, but the new fantasy world of Araman, a world of Brennan's creation. A world that in many ways kind of serves as a almost like foil, a kind of mirror view to the world of Exandria, at least in kind of a broad sense. So 70 years before the events of Campaign 4, the 7 gods of Araman, known as the Shapers, were slain by the mortals who rose up against them. The death of the gods having a drastic impact and drastic change on this fantasy world, as now magic is completely wild and unpredictable, no longer chained by divinity. And the lack of gods as well mean that the souls of the deceased no longer are sent to various afterlives. The lack of divine power as well has created a kind of power vacuum within this world, as the following 70 years after the death of the 7 Shaper gods have been filled with a number of violent events and several wars spanning across the planet. However, despite magic being unpredictable in this world, it is still very much present, as magical casters exist all throughout this world. There are a litany of warlocks, as well as druidism has seen a drastic rise and resurgence in this world, as reincarnation has become even more important in this world after the loss of the afterlife. Clerics and divine casters still exist in this world, though they no longer are connected to gods, so they now attempt to tap into the divine realms themselves, but it doesn't work exactly as it used to. As well, there are 4 notable factions that will be present within the story of Campaign 4. The Sundered House, the Perntival, the Torn Banner, and the Dol Mekir. Though we know little about these 4 factions at the time of recording outside of the fact that Dol Mekir is a large city within the world. And so far, this is really all we know right now about kind of the lore and the kind of broad strokes, the World of Araman right now, though this is going to change very quickly once Campaign 4 starts and we get a few episodes in. As I imagine we're going to get absolutely swamped with lore, we're going to get that absolute massive lore bomb on us very quickly. Campaign 4 is also going to be drastically different, as our core group of players plus Matthew Mercer as a player will now be joined by 5 new players. We have the returning Robbie Damon, as well as Abria Iyengar, Luis Carrazzo, Alexandra Ward, and Whitney Moore. From what we know so far, the first 4 episodes of Campaign 4 are going to kind of serve as the introduction, the kind of overture to the fantasy world as we know it, as well as our cast of characters. These 4 episodes really kind of setting up the broader story of Campaign 4. After the first 4 episodes, the campaign is going to enter into a West Marches style campaign. Put simply, this just means that our cast are going to be split into 3 smaller groups of players, all playing out their own different adventures that take place alongside each other, kind of concurrently, all within the same world. Meaning that the consequences, the choices that are made by one table are necessarily going to affect what happens in another group's table, another group's story, as they are all taking place kind of simultaneously within the same world. Think kind of Game of Thrones and all of the different plot lines taking place all throughout the world from the point of views of the different characters. It should also be said, though, that while the cast members are going to be splitting up into 3 different groups, into 3 different tables, these tables are not necessarily going to be static, as players will likely interchange, switching different tables and different groups throughout the entirety of Campaign 4. Honestly, this is probably the biggest core change from Campaigns 1 to 3, and I think that this change is probably the one that the fan base has been the most kind of tentative about. As if Campaign 4 is going to run into any kind of issues from all of these changes, I think that it will be this West March change that will be the, kind of the biggest change, biggest problem they might run into, as now the audience is going to have to juggle, the story of, 3 different kind of groups and stories all at once across 3 different tables, as opposed to just one kind of coherent story with one party. And while personally, I'm very excited to see exactly how all of this is going to work and to see, all of these new characters and these new dynamics at the table and the stories that they're going to tell, I definitely think that is going to take a little bit of time to get used to this. And it might come with a few challenges for us, the viewing audience. And I'm definitely going to miss seeing the kind of character interactions, the party dynamics of the cast that we've known and loved over the last 10 years. As it's definitely going to be weird not seeing, the entire Critical Role cast play at the table together with one another. Again, though, we're just going to have to wait and see and watch a few episodes to really just see how all of this is going to work, how all of these changes are going to play out in Campaign 4. Finally, though, I want to discuss the cast of characters within Campaign 4. As a few weeks back, all of the art for all of the characters was dropped on the Critical Role wiki, as well as some of the character classes. In this video, I'm just going to run through all of these characters and their art pretty quickly, so if you want to see me go through them in more detail, then check out the video I linked in the eye above, where I went through them in more detail, as well as where you see me react to the character art for the first time. Starting from the top, we have Laura Bailey's character Thimble, the Fairy Rogue. Next, we have Luis's character Azun Nayar, the Human class to be determined. After that, Robbie Damon's character, the Human Ranger Cadigan Vale. Again, class to be determined. Next, we have Abriat Iyengar, Taishan Loy, the Orc Druid. Taliesin Jaffe, the Elf Warlock, Belair Lethalia, a character that is easily probably my favorite character art and character design. This character is just so freaking Taliesin coded, and I absolutely am in love with him. Next, we have Ashley Johnson, the Drow Valus, class to be determined. Matthew Mercer, the Human Sir Julian Davanos, class to be determined. Whitney Moore's character, the Demon Tyranny. And yes, it is not listed as a tiefling, it is specifically listed as a demon according to Brennan Lee Mulligan. Next we have Liam O'Brien's character, Hallandale Fang, the Orc Bard. Marisha Ray, the Dwarf Murray Magnuson, class to be determined. Sam Regal, the Human Wickander Halavar, class to be determined. Alexander Ward's Human Octus Taconis, another character design that I am completely in love with, class to be determined. And finally, we have my boy, Travis Willingham, who is playing the Qatari Paladin, Tayor Pridesire. Yep, Travis made a furry, and the internet is already having a field day with this character.
You have a poison in your mind, and the fact that you can't see it makes me so sad.
Once again, as I stated earlier in the video, the first 4 episodes of Campaign 4 are going to be the kind of introduction, the overture to our group of characters, as well as to the world as a whole. The first 4 episodes setting up the kind of story before the 3 tables ultimately split off. Again, at the time of recording, there's a lot we just don't know about Campaign 4. Like, how exactly this West Marches style game is going to exactly work. All of the logistics of it. Like, are they going to be switching groups from week to week? From month to month? We really just don't know, and we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, personally, I am super excited about Campaign 4. I am extremely excited to see this new fantasy world. I'm extremely excited to see Brennan get to DM full-time as the Critical Role DM, at least for Campaign 4, and I'm very excited to see Matt actually get to sit down at the table as a player. However, I think it is extremely fair to say that Critical Role is taking a massive risk with Campaign 4. Like, it would be one thing to make any one of these changes for Campaign 4, but doing all of them together, I think is, honestly kind of crazy. Like, Campaign 4 is going to be so drastically different from everything we've seen so far over the last 10 years, especially from campaigns 1 to 3. Like, not just because we are no longer in Exandria, and not just because Matt is no longer the DM, but really I think because the core cast, this group of, actors and friends that we have fallen in love with over the last 10 years, their dynamic is no longer going to be present at the table because of the West Marches game, because they're going to be split up. I think personally, this might be the biggest risk that Critical Role is taking with Campaign 4, as I think that it is this dynamic of this group of friends that really sets Critical Role apart from like every other D&D show, D&D podcast out there. Critical Role somehow, despite all of the money, the fame, the upgrade in the sets and the broadcast quality, has still managed to keep that same feeling that they had on day 1 on the Geek and Sundry Scuffed live broadcast. This feeling of a group of best friends just getting together, having a fun time, being ridiculous, playing Dungeons and Dragons together. And part of me does worry if they're going to lose that kind of magical feeling of this dynamic by splitting this group up. Personally, though, I am excited for all of these changes. Like, I do think that Campaign 4 is going to be good. It's just going to be very different. Honestly, though, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the Critical Role fan base, a lot of the Critical Role audience are kind of put off by all of these changes together, as it really is a lot to take in. As always, though, guys, with these videos, these are just my thoughts and opinions, so feel free to let me know yours in the comment section down below. Let me know, are you excited for all of these changes for Campaign 4, or are you a little bit nervous? As always, guys, if you did enjoy this video or you learned something new, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as your engagement on this video really does go a long way in helping to put it into the algorithm. If you did like this video, then why don't you check out some of my other Critical Role in D&D content, which I will put on screen now. For example, like my Critical Role in a Nutshell series, where I have broken down the stories of campaigns 1 and 2 into their own hour-long speedrun videos. Don't worry, the Campaign 3 in a Nutshell video is in the works right now as we speak. Thank you again, guys, for watching. As always, I hope to see you in the next video. Stay safe out there. Until next time, peace, love, Adu.